Today we're going to work on the Silnim Tau form. We're going to go through the form several times to make sure all your shapes are perfect, your sequence, but also just to correct any little bits and pieces that I may see aren't correct in your movements. But also it'll be a chance for you to ask any questions around it so that you've really nailed it in. So we're going to do the form the whole class today. I want to break into, there's three parts of the form, at least in the linear Drew practice. There's part A, B, and C, and I'll break it up into each piece. And you can ask questions around each one, and then we'll do the whole form together. But as usual, we're going to start off with the energy training for it. But before we go into it, do we have any questions about the Silnim Tau before we start? No. Okay. One last point. Right. The Silnim Tau is the foundational form of the system. So you want to be practicing this form as much as possible because it has all the, let's say, components for your fighting state in it. It has the shape of the structures, so the different shapes, yeah. It has the state and the conditions, so centering, feeling the whole body, syncing the chi, and seeing it as well. And it also trains your body to be able to take pressure, and from this is where you start moving this into all the combat, into chi sao and all the forms. So you want to make sure you guys practice this. Any of you practicing this at home at the moment? No? Start practicing. Once you know it, start practicing it. Try to practice once a day. That's a good formula. Because, you know, or if you practice it, if you practice it, 13 or 14 times a day, you'll have it done 10,000 times in a year. I think that's the math. Is that the math, Danielson?
About.
Okay. About, so he knows. All right, cool. Well, let's start with energy training. So grab a spot. Start with your feet together. Stand nice and upright. We start the form with our feet together, and the way I like to look at it, it's a good chance for you to center yourself because your feet are slightly touching and you can feel at the crown of the head, and you want to make a connection between those points, which is centering. So softly draw up Tai Gong like you're stopping the passage of water, feeling that spot down between your feet and the crown of the head, and fill that part with feeling. So feel the whole center. Just take deep breaths. Every time you breathe in, feel that sinking and deepening your awareness into your central column. As you breathe out, release any tension or strain. And now activate the idea energy. Start to see white light shining in your whole center. So from the crown to the ground, you see white light. You also feel and you softly draw up. So your awareness is fully in your center. It's like everything's hanging from that. All the muscles, joints, tendons, ligaments, just hanging like you're an apple hanging from a tree. All the weight's just releasing around that center. Now open up the knees forward slightly, which makes them bend, and then pivot on the heels of the feet to bring the toes out, and then of the balls of the feet to bring the heels out. So you have that slightly triangular base. Bring the hands up to your side now as well, and start to feel the whole body. Now, the hands will aim up to the apex of the first punch, so the elbow is slightly lower than the wrist and fist. And we have a straight line from the forearm, straight line from the forearm all the way along the fist. The hands are lined up with the chest, and you let here, as you go into the feeling energy, let everything sink. So the feeling now is to help you really feel everything and let that all release around the center. So we're centering and feeling. You should feel completely balanced, so no pushing or pulling at all. Bring the hips back slightly. Yeah, just the hips Taking deep, conscious breaths and just sinking into the feeling of the body. Keep the eye line directly forward. Your feet are pretty much directly down from your shoulder joints if you look in the mirror. So you'll see that they're just under your shoulders. And you want to feel like your knees are opening forward. You feel like you can still step, you're not stuck to the floor. So centered, feeling, and now start to sink. Start to sink the energy down, all the way down. Like there's warm water just running through your whole body. Releasing any tension. Feet slightly inwards. Just a little bit, the toes pointing just a little, yeah. Centered. Sensing the body, feeling it, sinking the chi down, so that's using the moving energy. And as you're sinking it down, make sure it's sinking throughout the whole body. So everywhere you should feel it. If you don't feel it in some areas, try to move it from another area into that area so that you get a real comprehensive, holistic feeling of this sinking energy or moving the awareness down through the whole body. Now activate the white light in the whole body. See and feel a radiant white light shining in your whole body. And that line of white light in front of you, which is about the same height as you, that can be at the furthest point you want in the mirror or just in front of you. It's up to you. Whatever you feel comfortable with. Using the idea energies to help you to become more conscious of your thought forms, so you can start to use the idea power consciously. And also it's helping you direct it to that center as well. So that line in front of you is the center of your training partner, your opponent, or the dummy. Now go into a state of observation and just observe yourself in the condition. So keep this and maintain the condition as best as you can without any stress or strain. I'm centered, I'm feeling my whole body, the chi is sinking, and I'm aware of the white light energizing the whole body and in front of me. But just observe what the state is like. Any thoughts, emotions, feelings, sensations, images, sounds. Feel your center tall and open. Your mind calm. And your body completely relaxed. And keep this state with you for as long as you wish, and bring it back whenever you like and throughout our form training today. Opening up your eyes. Bring it in, folks. So, observations.
Lots of warmth today.
Warmth.
Maybe because I was power walking, but I don't know.
Yeah, maybe. But that's a common observation for people when they first start the energy training, is they start to feel warm, especially in the hands. Yeah. There's a saying that goes, first the heat and then the light. So as you start to connect more to your etheric double, or your energy body, you'll start to have a sense of heat, and then you'll start to be able to see it more, the light. Very good. So if anyone's cold, give Joe a hug.
I was cold before.
Okay, observations? You don't have to share if you don't want to, but if you do, you're also welcome to.
That was good.
Okay. Well, that's the state. We work on the state all the time. That's the reason why we do it at the beginning of each class, is we're looking, that's literally the foundation. When you have that set up, you put that into everything, and then we build on that foundation. So once you've got that solid, let's say, connection to and feeling for the different types of energy, we start expanding on those, but also adding new types to work with as well. So that's really foundational. If you just worked on that every day, which you can do, you're in there doing the dishes or cleaning. Like I was helping a friend vacuuming a place and the other day, and I was just in this day. It's really nice. Like you're training the weapons. Okay, no more questions or observations? All right, let's get into it. So grab a spot where you can see me, so come close. Come closer, close, and you stand right at the back. Come as far as possible. Okay, so feet together. We're going to talk through it first, and then I'll come around and fix any problems on your shapes, and we can discuss them, and then questions after, then we'll go through it without talking, so you can get into the state deeper. So feet together, stand nice and upright, activate your state, so center, sense, sink, and see. Fists come up to your side, making sure those fists are aimed towards the apex of the strike. So when you bring them up, they're approximately level with your fist. Now, what the problem that you might find, if you bring them right back so if you see they're lined up with my chest, if you bring them right back, what you might find is that you get a bit of tension in the upper back, shoulders, and the front of the shoulders and the chest. From here, you want to center and release. So this position straight away kind of engages a forwardness. So if you look at Jo, she brings her fist right back, but don't, if she just pulls back, so just pull back, and if I put a little bit of pressure on that, it's going to be keep the right shape, If I put a bit of pressure on that, see, and you're pulling back, pull back, it's going to be quite easy to disrupt her stance and her balance, whereas if she centers and then just sinks, and sink and release, how this now feeds in, that's feeding into your structure, you feel the difference? Mm-hmm. Yeah. So the idea is that this actually starts to give you some kinetic energy forward, some moving energy. Okay, now from here, knees open forwards, toes out and heels out. When you look in the mirror, make sure you've got a little bit wider pat, so bring your feet a little bit wider, so they'll be under the shoulders. Yeah. Good. I'll just come around and take a look, so stay in your positions. So you want to make sure, see how yours goes up, you're doing a little bit like this, make sure it's flat along here. So you got a flat line from there, and this at the moment is pointing all the way up here. This should point to the apex of the punch. Yeah, good. Your eye line should be directly forward, and your shoulders should always automatically be releasing. See, at the moment the force from your femur is going down into the knee. You want to have it more like it's opening forward, like it's ready to kick. Yeah, good. All right. Now from here, the left hand comes up over the right, both in front of the solar plexus. First, it starts here, and then it comes down and forward. And from here, it turns right up. The right comes over the left and back. Now, important one here, guys, do that again for me. Just do it a couple times. Again. Yeah, so this angle's not closing. So I'm not going out and then bringing it back here, out, and then bring it up. It's like someone's pulling it straight up, okay? Because that's like you're setting up your shield in a way, and you don't want this to collapse as it comes up. Because if there's force played onto it, it can crush back towards you. And back, okay. Now your left fist comes directly in front of your center, and it's already facing forward. And you move forward to strike. Palm flattens. And then you keep this on the center as it points up to the side, down into a fist and back. Same on the right side. Left palm opens up and it comes in towards the center. So if you think of like a plane or a line going from my center to that line in front of me, it comes in towards the center. And once it kind of meets the center of the hand, it arcs in behind. So the elbow arcs in, the same with the Tansao and the Fuxiao, it arcs in, maintaining a softness in the shoulder joints and the shoulder girdle. Once you've reached it's approximately about 3/4 extension, to the point where you feel, it's the furthest point it will go before it gets tense. That's where you want to go to. And from here, it points up, to the side, down, and around into Wusao, or guarding hand. And if you're looking in the mirror, the pinky and the hand are right in front of your spine as you come back slowly until it's just in front of your chest, and then you turn over into Fuxiao. The fingers are pointing back in towards you and the elbows arcing into the center. Okay. Make sure that that arcs in. So this way, yeah, not this way, this way. That ensures that from a structural perspective, you can control any incoming force from underneath. So, yeah. And guys, the hand's completely hooked like that, not just at the fingers. Flatten the palm, coming down and around. Now, we do the Fuxiao 3 times, because this is a very commonly used defensive structure, and it's also one of the easiest shapes to start to feel your energy or chi, or, to call it what you want, or the mind entering into the arm and kind of supporting it with power. How many times do we do that? 2. Done it twice? Okay, so we've got 1 more. Thanks. It's my assistant, Jo. She counts my Fuxiaos. That flattens, coming around. And from here, parry to the shoulder, front of the shoulder, good. Back in front of the center, and then palm strikes straight down and flat. Palm flattens, pointing up, side, down to a fist and back. Same on your right side. Make sure you maintain that uprightness through the spine the whole time, so you're not collapsing into yourself. Stay nice and upright. Keeping the guarding hand, the Wusao, right in front of the spine, and then turning the wrist over as it comes back. Elbow arcs in behind the wrist. Was that 3? Okay. Okay, take a break there. That's A. What questions or observations do we have about part A?
It's cool. I like it.
You like it? So do I. You can think of it as a moving meditation. This was one of the first things that trapped me or grabbed me when I first walked into Sifu Jim's Wing Chun Academy back in, I think about 2000 era, 2000, 2001. I walked in there and they're all doing this slow movement form. And I'd come from a boxing taekwondo world, so it was like fast stuff. So I was just like, what the fuck are they doing? How's this a martial art? Then I found out it had a lot of power. You could sense there was some power in it. Observations or questions about any of the movements?
No, I'm just a bit stiff at the moment, so I think I need to work on my state a bit more.
Yeah.
Because I notice sometimes I try and concentrate on the movements, and then I start to feel a bit stiff and sore.
Yeah.
And that's when I realise I've lost the state bit.
Yeah.
Like that. Yeah.
Yeah, for sure. Especially at the beginning, if you start to feel tense or stiff, but also if you're trying to just remember the movements, it's very difficult to stay in state. But the state is what brings the benefits of concentration, relaxation, bringing out the body and the mind's power. So you really want to dial this in. That's why I also wanted to go over this with you guys. So your homework is to practice the form once a day to nail it, because then you can start to cultivate the state within the movements. Now, part A is really an important one because you set up the actual stance and state, and you use 2 of the most foundational movements. You use the Tansao, And you also use the lay flat hand, it's also been described as, or spreading palm, and the fuxiao. This one here allows you to take on force from above. So Joe can take, remember we've done Tan Sao before, so you can take force coming from above into your stance. When done correctly, if she corrects her state and lifts Tai Gong, lets the shoulders sink down, then point this at me here, then and let the shoulder release, then her stance, her Tan Sao shape with her stance can take a lot of force into her stance. You can take quite a lot of pressure in, You feel? Yeah. So from above, which then from these shapes also train us, because they're circular shapes, to be able to spin force off quite easily. And that's the beginning of the Bong Sao movement as well. Yeah. The other one is the Fuk Sao. So it's training you to be able to deal with force from underneath. Yeah. So this is a very important one as well. So any type of force that comes underneath, you're learning to control from the contact point, but also deal with that incoming force so that she can either draw that force in, redirect that force downward, or even upward as well. So these shapes and movements are very important in the Wing Chun system. So from the first part, part A. Any other observations or questions before we go through it again? All right, cool. We're just going to go through it without talking now and just go through it so you can try to bring the state into it so it's more calm and quiet. And then we'll go through part B and C as well. All right. Okay, good. Any final questions or observations on the first part of the form? All good? Mm-hmm. All right, we'll move on to part 2 then. So we'll already be in stance for part B. Can you guys see from there? Yeah. If you go up there, then you won't be in the camera and you can see it too. Yeah.
I'm gonna be in front of Pat, won't I?
Huh? No, because she's looking towards me from there. You know what I mean? Yeah. Okay.
No, you're right.
Yeah. Okay. So we're already in stance with our fists up by the side. And from here, left palm opens and turns over, coming straight down. So you're taking a straight line down the side, and the same happens on the right side as well. Of course, maintaining state as best as possible. Hands come down around the back and come down and backwards so that the heels of the palms, it's like the heels of the palms are striking out. So a common mistake you'll see people do is they'll do something like this because they just don't see it, but this is what actually happens. This turns here as though you're striking something behind you. And from here, the hands take the shortest distance around the body, so they're not swinging out and around, they're taking a short distance around the body, down in front, and then striking down and forward. And from here, the left arm comes up over the top of the right. Good. And then opening up. Now, when you open up, you go to the point where it's pretty much just slightly in front of the side of the body. So we don't go too far back because you don't want to throw out the spine. Yeah? So yeah, so a little bit less, just a tiny bit less, yeah, more like this, yeah? Because the shoulder joint actually goes slightly forward off the body. It's not directly sideways. So if you try it now, go too far and feel how the chest arcs out too much, then you actually bend the spine. The spine we're trying to keep neutral throughout the movement. So it opens up to just slightly in front of the body, like very minutely, depending on your body type. And then right hand coming back over left. Keep the spine tall, make sure the shoulders are soft and relaxed, just like when you're in stance. And then fingers pointing up, cutting down in front to about parallel with the floor. And then you draw back towards you with the palms facing down. And then you pierce up to just under your eye height and fingers point up as you come down with the arms straight. So try that again. Yeah, so from here, arms are straight as you come down. And then fingers point down, thumbs are touching as you come up to fists and back. Good.
Clicking, man.
Clicking. Yeah, you'll find that actually. When you start the training, you'll find your joints click and stuff because there's tension in the ligaments, tendons, and around the joint, and that clicking just helps it all release out over time. All right, any questions about any of these movements? This one. Yeah, I mean, yes and no. I mean, for me, I do it both. Like sometimes I'll touch, sometimes I don't. Yeah, good question though, because at the front it's yeah. But at the same time, like when I used to ask.
It depends on how flexible you are, or how tight you are on the shoulders on that day.
Yeah, for sure, definitely. And I remember saying, my teacher used to always say, like I'd ask him, oh, so with the guns, how does it go here or here? Because yesterday you did it this high and last time you did this high, and it'd be like ganula, which means it doesn't matter. Yeah. So I'd be like, what matters then is the condition that you're in. Yeah, your energetic condition. He used to call it like the mind force state or the Nim Tao state. But the way I teach is slightly different, just because I've found a different way to get to an energetic condition. Any other observations or questions, team? All right, we're going to go through it slowly. All right, we're already in stance, so you can measure it out if you like, or just go straight to it. Fist up to your side. We'll go through it now from here. Now, guys, as best as you can, stay in the state. If you feel that you can't keep the whole state, pick one part of it, whether it's centering, sensing, syncing, seeing, or two of them. Okay, good. Do you guys find you're able to keep the state on then?
I think it went a bit fast for me. It's like,
Okay, yeah. Got to learn the movements. Once you've learned them, you can crank it out. All right, let's go into part 3. So of course, once again, we'll already be in stance, but you can measure it out if you like. Now from here, the left palm opens up in front of the left armpit and it parries across to the right shoulder, coming back. So you go right across the right shoulder and the palm's flat. So it's not bent, it's completely flat. Yeah? And it comes back to the armpit on a 45-degree angle, and then it goes from the armpit straight to the center. Good. Palm flat, going up, side, down to a fist and back. Same on the right side, parrying across 45-degree angle, and then palm strike. Palm flat, Hun Sao to a fist, and back. The left palm opens up in front of the belly and it pierces up approximately to about eye height, cuts down. So when it cuts down, see how it cuts down still on the center? It looks like it's arcing because from this position, the elbow is close to the center, and then as the hand comes down for the cut down, the elbow goes out. So it looks like you're coming out this way, but really you're just going straight down. You're cutting down. Like there's also called plowing hand or gan sao. Okay, hold it down there at that part, at the end part. Good. So yeah, it opens out this way, not in that way. This way. Yeah. Good. Okay. Yeah. And then we're coming back up, turning around, opening up, and palm strike. Good. Same on the right, in front of the belly, coming up to eye height, cutting down to approximately waist, piercing back up again to approximately throat, and then fingers point up and back, side down to the furthest point. You can't turn any further without moving the elbow joint, and then it opens up, and palm strike. Palm flat to a Hun Sao and back. Left palm opens up, fingertips point towards the center, elbow arcs out for the Bong Sao. And from here, maintain the center line as this turns down into Tan Sao. Then palm strike again. Same on the right. Left hand comes into center, turning, facing down and forward, coming straight down and forward. Right hand's over the elbow joint and it turns over as the bottom hand comes back to replace it. 6 of those, and then finishing with 6 chain punches. Making sure they stay directly in your center. And you want to minimize the amount of gap that you create between them as you punch through. So with the chain, we're not doing big circles, you're keeping it to a minimum so that you keep the gap closed. So 6 of those. So fists, feet together, and that's it. Good.
I'm still clicking.
Still clicking?
Much easier when you break it down into 3 parts.
Yeah. That's why we're also going to put this into 3 separate videos so you can just practice the first one till you nail it, the second one till you nail it, the third one till you nail it as well. Any other questions?
I feel like when I do the Bong Sao, my shoulder goes like this.
Yeah, it's an easy one. Yeah, especially at the beginning when we're not connected to our center, it's very easy to let the shoulder come up. So if you do it, if you get your stance and do the Bong Sao, yeah. Do you feel like it's quite high right now, or it feels okay?
It feels okay.
Yeah.
But like I can still.
Yeah, I know what you mean. Yeah, you will feel the activity there. The more you train the state, the more it will start to hang off your skeleton. Yeah, the more you train. Yeah, because at first, you generally speaking, at first, it's not really connected to the body mass because you haven't really centered yourself well or felt the whole structure as a cohesive unit, or started even to use the body mass as one. Yeah, so that's natural time. Yeah. Any other observations at all? Okay. Let's go through it quietly. Okay, so you would already be in stance, of course. Let's go. Clicking?
Yeah.
I've been clicking too. That's my sore bit, the wrist. But you feel it like good to have that mobility in it.
when it clicks though, you start feeling better.
Any other observations before we go through the whole form now? All good? Any other questions at all? Okay. Right, let's go through the whole form. Wait, before we go through it, did you guys feel you're able to maintain the state throughout that?
In part A and C, yes, but B, not so much.
Yeah, you're
I
able
don't
to
know,
maintain.
I think it's more, it's maybe the shapes or something, or I don't know.
And what does the state mean to you then? I mean, in part A and C, what were you thinking about, feeling? What was it? All of it? Was it a part of
I
it?
think it was all of it.
Okay.
It felt like
Cool. That's
all
good.
of it, and it was more like in part A and C.
Good.
I felt like I was mostly in state and just noticed when I dropped out momentarily, whereas in part B, I felt
Yep.
like I was really struggling to get into the state at all.
That's interesting.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm thinking
That was
what-
just my observation of today. I don't know.
Yeah, okay. How about you guys? How did you feel with the state in the form?
I felt the same. Like part A was much easier just to
Okay.
like. I don't know if it's just because like this arm is the same position the whole time,
Ah.
whereas like
A good
the other
observation.
ones, like,
That's the one where both arms are active. Yeah, maybe that's why. Because you've got this one maybe keeping you in state. Yeah. I was trying to think why. What could it be? And then, once again, my handy assistant. Okay, so you found, and when you any particular parts of the state you find are more prevalent or more aware or more awake as you do the form with you, or all kind of
Maybe-
even.
I don't know, maybe more the feeling energy, that where you feel like the white light in your whole body, and
Okay, so feeling and seeing, because you said feeling the white light.
yeah, maybe,
Okay.
yeah.
Ah, Dolphin,
Oh, you go.
what's up? You good?
Yeah,
Yeah.
very good.
Good weekend? Jet panic?
Weekend?
Yeah,
It's alright.
it's all right.
Relaxing.
How about yourself with the state?
My mind's really peaceful.
Yeah?
It's really
Feeling Zen mode?
Yeah,
Okay, good,
I like
good.
that.
Because once again, the reason why, that's fantastic. The reason why I bring that up is because that's what we're trying to put into the form, the state, yeah? So as we go through the whole form now, do your best to have the whole state on or pick pieces that you like. I personally like to, I still do pick a piece and just work on it. Like I'll just do centering as I go through the whole form, or I'll just do feeling and so on and so forth. But if you feel you've got all of them, do that too. All right, let's go through the whole form now. So just take a moment to get yourself into the state.
strong sound come? Is that like over your chest or over your face or?
Yeah, it's slightly, so the elbow and wrist are usually, when we practice it in our system, it's slightly upward, but the hand faces slightly downward. So it can go forward, but to be honest with you, once again, Nganyula doesn't really matter, because in, like, for example, in Tumkyu, the second form, we start practicing it low, start practicing it different positions and lower, so it's quite a dynamic movement. But generally speaking, for the Sildim Tower, you want to practice it to approximately, let's say, around, your nose to mouth. Yeah, so you're getting a feeling for it coming to the upper level, because you may need to use it even higher than that, depending on where the angle of attack's coming or where you're striking to as well. Any other questions, team? Alrighty, thank you. Tea time.